The room was dead silent, except for the nervous tap-tap-tap of a dozen pencils on a dozen desks. It was test day, but this wasn't just any test. This was the Level 9 English Proficiency exam, the one students called the Glacier, because it was cold, unforgiving, and most people who tried to climb it just slid right off. At the front of the room, the proctor, Mr. Davies, adjusted his glasses. A single word echoed in the silence. Begin. Paper rustled, and a collective silent groan rose from the class as they saw the first section. Idioms in context. Question 1. If someone is on thin ice, they are about to go skating, B, in a dangerous situation, C, feeling very cold, or D, walking carefully. While his classmates hesitated, Lise, sitting in the third row, didn't even blink. He wasn't just reading words on a page. He was seeing a memory. He saw his cousin, Carlos, just last winter, trying to explain to their boss why the delivery van was late. Again. He could almost hear Carlos's desperate voice. Hey Faye, I know, I'm on thin ice here. I promise it won't happen again. The image of the boss's furious face was all the context Louise needed. He confidently circled B. The test was a brutal marathon. Phrasal verbs. The subjunctive mood. Advanced collocations. For most students, it was like trying to climb a mountain made of grammar rules during a blizzard of vocabulary. Luce's classmates were starting to crumble. Anya, one of the top students, put her head in her hands. Sam stared at the clock, his face a mask of defeat. But Luce just kept going. He was steady, focused, like an expert skier picking his line down a treacherous slope. He navigated each question not with abstract rules, but with real-life echoes. A phrasal verb wasn't a formula. It was the way his mom told him to pick up his little sister from school. A complex sentence structure wasn't a diagram. It was the way a kind customer at his family's diner had patiently corrected the menu he'd written. Then came the final section. The part that was the stuff of legends. The part that broke even the best students. The narrative gap. The prompt was famously, impossibly, subjective. The instructions read, write a coherent 200-word story that begins with the sentence. The hinges screamed a protest he chose to ignore, and ends with the sentence. In the silence that followed, he finally understood the cost. This wasn't just a grammar question, it was a creative writing test. A test of soul. Pens hovered over paper across the room. Minds went completely blank. How could anyone invent a meaningful story under this much pressure, with such specific and dramatic constraints? But List didn't see a test prompt. He closed his eyes, and a different scene came into focus. He heard the screech of an old, rusted gate. The gate of his abuelo's farm in Mexico, a sound from a childhood he thought he'd forgotten. He could almost feel the dry heat on his skin, smell the familiar scent of dust in the air. He saw his father not as the man he was now, but as a young man years ago pushing through that very gate, leaving for a better life up north. Ignoring the scream of the past, the protest of the life he was leaving behind. Luce's pen finally touched the paper. He wasn't writing for a score, he wasn't trying to impress a grader. He was just writing a memory, a story he'd only ever heard in whispered tones and seen in old photographs. He wrote, the hinges screamed a protest he chose to ignore. It was the sound of the old life, the life of dust and struggle and empty futures, trying to hold him back. He had a bus ticket in one pocket and a photograph of his pregnant wife in the other. The future was a cold city with a strange name and a language that felt like rocks in his mouth. He walked away, each step a betrayal of the soil that made him. Years later, in a sterile office, speaking perfect, careful English, he received a call. The old farm was gone, sold. The gate was scrap metal. And in the silence that followed, he finally understood the cost. He put his pen down. Time was called. The ordeal was over. Weeks later, the results were posted on a bulletin board outside the classroom. The class gathered, a nervous knot of anxiety. They scanned the list. Most of the scores were in the 60s and 70s. A few proud students had managed to get into the 80s. These were considered great scores on the Glacier. Then, they saw it, at the top of the list, Luis Mendoza, 98%. A stunned silence fell over the group, a 98 on the Glacier. It was unheard of. Impossible. Anya, clutching her own respectable score of 82, turned to him, bewildered. How? She asked, her voice full of disbelief. How did you do it? The idioms, that narrative gap. I just stared at it for 20 minutes. Lise just offered a quiet, almost sad smile. He wasn't thinking about the test anymore. He was thinking of the real-life lessons behind each question. He thought of the phrases he learned not from flashcards, but from overhearing conversations at his dad's construction site. He thought of the grammar he absorbed from those patient customers at his mom's diner, the ones who helped him perfect his menus. And he thought of the story he wrote, which wasn't fiction at all. It was the story of his father, his family, his life. He realized he hadn't studied for a test. He had lived a life in 2 languages, in 2 worlds. The test wasn't some insurmountable obstacle he had to overcome. It was just a map of a journey he had already taken, a journey filled with sacrifice, hard work, and love. Louise passed the impossible English test, not by memorizing a rulebook, but by having lived in the world the language described. His fluency wasn't just in his grammar. It was in his story. And that, he knew, was something no test could ever truly grade. His real education wasn't found in a textbook. It was found in the tired smile of his father after a long day's work, in the encouraging words of his mother over a simmering pot, in the complex, beautiful, and sometimes painful tapestry of a life lived between 2 cultures. And that's a lesson worth more than any score. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more content that goes beyond the surface. See you in the next one.